I'm Dan Duvall.
I'm Chelsea Liu, and we're comedians from Victoria, BC, and the host for the Hate Locker podcast.
A podcast about hating trivial things with a healthy yet unnecessary vigor. You know, stupid yet infuriating things like medium-strength wind, yellow cars, and of course, all-natural peanut butter.
With the help of our esteemed guest, we discuss our topics roundtable style, and then vote on whose hate is the most warranted, in order to assign arbitrary points for absolutely no reason.
Maybe this isn't for you.
Yeah, maybe you're the kind of person who loves everything, and if so, you're a monster.
The worst of us all. And you'll likely find yourself as a topic on
the Hate Locker podcast. I hate this promo.
On the Brain Freeze Podcast Network.
I also hate the word roundtable.
Ah, yes, and there goes Colin, off on his big Zeppelin adventure.
Bye, Colin.
Oh, nothing could go wrong.
No, they're just finishing loading it full of delicious hydrogen.
Yeah, nothing has ever gone wrong with a Zeppelin and hydrogen.
Fare thee well, Colin.
There he goes.
Oh
my God.
Oh, no.
Oh no, what's happening?
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I don't think it was designed to do that.
Get out of the way, please. It's running, rushing into flames, and it's falling on the flying fast, and all the folks agree that this is terrible. This is the one of the worst
Oh, we're so unhappy about this turn of events.
Oh, what will become of the podcast?
It's so unfortunate. Our leading man,
How will we pick up the slack?
our biggest contributor.
All the humanity and all the fairness is feeding around it. I don't.
I'm okay with it. Welcome, listeners, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the Doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you. I almost fucked it up.
Wow.
I was really... You know what it was?
His death's really like hitting you.
Yeah, that's
it's
what it
real.
is.
It's real now.
You know what it is? I actually tried to take a risk, and I was like, I'm not going to look at the script. I'm like, I know this. I've done this like 70 times. Like,
Well, you know, we're just finding our rhythm again.
yeah, we're figuring out
Trying
some way
find
to go on.
some sort of sense of normalcy.
Well, speaking of listeners like you, we got a review from one of them.
What?
Yeah.
Is this another one of our wives?
No.
Oh, okay.
One of our wives. We've done two wives. No, your wife hasn't done shit.
No.
It's bullshit.
I know. I told her.
Good.
Last episode.
True. I hope we made-
Once she catches up, she's gonna be furious.
we got a review from Mr. Shane Webb
What?
from Australia.
Nice.
Which I didn't. I may have known at some point, but I forgot that he was from Australia, which is
Yeah.
very cool.
Down under.
So we can get reviews from down under. So pick up the slack, Australia.
Crikey, you drongos.
You got any more?
No.
Oh, that's it. With a 5-star review on iTunes, he goes on to say, "Have tried to review before, but it didn't seem to work. Likely excuse." 5 stars. I love this podcast so much. Oh my God, you do. Can you make it work? I think the batteries aren't working.
Wow, what a strange review.
What an anticlimactic moment. My wife comes in with we have a Steve Irwin doll that's battery powered, but the batteries have been taken out.
Yeah, by a battery powered Stingray.
Have I ever told you my Steve Irwin joke?
Is it just that?
Why does Steve Irwin like to go to the beach?
Why?
Because he likes to catch the killer rays.
Oh.
Oh.
G'day, I'm Steve Irwin.
Oh.
What a ripper! Crocs rule! Danger, danger, danger.
Wow.
Woo-wee!
There's so many.
Crikey!
Woo!
What a beauty! We work hard at saving endangered animals.
That's my favorite one.
G'day, I'm Steve Irwin.
Oh.
Wow, this just became an episode memorial to 2 people.
One of them I feel very sad about.
So sorry. That was what does the actual review say again?
Now
Now that we've loaded up all of the Australia we can handle.
It says, so he says that he's tried to review before, but he says 5 stars. I love this podcast so much. It's the perfect piece of nerdiness in my hectic week.
Oh.
Like, things are difficult in Australia. I guess you're running away from things that are constantly trying to kill you, so.
Oh, no. Oh, the box jellyfish. Ah.
Crikey.
Oh, great white shark. I'm sorry. Thank you for being a fan.
Yes, the what was one Australian fan.
This review's just been deleted.
I don't know what happened. I didn't think you could do that.
He's getting this feed live.
Oh my god. Oh god, that's really bad. All that stuff I edit out usually. I didn't
There's a
realize.
reason we've only done one live show.
So let's go to the news.
All right.
Wow. It's a whole new show by being the very old version of the show.
Yeah.
I like it. So old Robin meets new in DC's universe's Titans.
Yeah, so
What does that mean?
Well, we knew that they had an episode called Jason Todd. We knew that they had cast someone as Jason Todd, but they just released an image of both Dick Grayson and Jason Todd dressed as Robin. Like, they'll meet as Robins in the show. It's like Dick Grayson has like left. He struck out on his own. Fuck Batman. And then Batman quickly replaces him with Jason.
So dark.
And then they meet up. So the images of the,
Do you think he just presses a button and then it just like sucks up like an orphan from some like random orphanage and just like pops him into?
I thought he was having like a separate orphan alert on his like oh, someone's parents just fell off a bridge. He's like, to the Batmobile.
I like to think that it's like just it's somewhere in an orphanage. There's just like of the floor like opens up and sucks in an orphan. And then it like pops him and he lands on some bed and Bruce comes in and goes, "I'm your father." And he's like, "But I was." He's like, "I'm your father." And he starts carving the kid's name.
Put on these shorts. Yeah. Do a flip.
Danger, danger, danger.
Crikey.
What a ripper. Oh, you don't want Batman to say that.
Oh, Jesus. But yeah, so basically what this refers to is that Dick Grayson and Jason Todd meet each other in the show.
So do you think they're both going to be active in the show together?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. But
like, was there a lot of like in the actual Titans comics? Like, were the two of them interacting?
No,
very
because
often?
Jason didn't exist as Robin until Dick was already Nightwing. So the timeline's a little different already. But I kind of wonder if like, what's the point of bringing in Jason Todd? Part of it is like, I guess, to show that how easily replaced Dick is, like to sort of further.
Ladies, you know how easy it is to replace Dick.
Maybe for you.
Lookers like me, you know.
No, what I mean is like just to show like how deteriorated that relationship is with Batman. So
yeah.
That might be a reason to bring Jason Todd in and to have them meet up.
He goes like, "Fuck Batman." And they hear like, "Hey, Batman's not that bad of a guy."
The other reason to bring Jason Todd in is to kill him later. I doubt they do that in this season. That would be too quick a turnaround, I think. But like,
I don't know. They could be playing the Gotham model and just like, well, hey, let's fast forward everything.
Well, but what I mean is maybe this is something they build to in a later season. Is, you know, then Jason gets killed, and then maybe that like spurs some sort of reconciliation with Batman or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's all about Dick's relationship to Batman. Like, I don't think Jason is in there to really be a character of his own.
We've already lost Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I can't lose another JT.
Not Justin Timberlake.
He's still around. He's relevant.
Yeah.
He's relevant. You stop being mean to him. His cup of soup means a lot to me.
Cry me a river.
Hey. So you want to explain to everybody a little bit about this Henry Cavill Superman controversy?
I mean, I would love to, but I'm not sure I fully understand it.
So was it somebody said something about that, like
this report,
they were replacing him?
This report came out that he was officially done as Superman.
Yeah.
And it's not an unreasonable thing to have like assumed because he recently got cast in the Witcher TV series. Like,
fuck, I'm so stoked about that.
He's had a big, year with Mission Impossible, like Fallout. It's possible that would be the logical thing, that like he's got other things going on. Nothing is happening. There's been no announcement on a Man of Steel sequel or anything like that. So maybe, he wasn't able to film a cameo for Shazam because he was working on something else. I don't
so you think like they're just sick of his shit?
Well, so that was the report that came out, and then all of these like counter reports started coming out. Like Warner Bros. Put out this very like vague response that was like, "We have a great relationship with Henry. That's always been true. That stays the same." But they didn't outright deny it.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing that where you're trying to like make an amicable breakup. Like we're still friends and we had a great time.
And
but
then
I just
other
don't want to see
people
you
were
anymore.
saying this is absolutely false. And then Henry Cavill posted just on Instagram, he's wearing like, it said like a t-shirt that said like Krypton like lifting club. And he just was like holding up a thing, like a Superman action figure, and then like putting it back down, but he didn't say anything. It's just this like weird.
It's kind of just like, I still like Superman.
Just staring into camera. We still don't know
for real,
because no official thing has come out of Warner Brothers saying that he's gone.
Well, so what do you think about it?
I still don't think it's outlandish as a premise that he'd be out. I think that would be a bad move.
No, but
I'd be upset about that.
Yeah,
because I like him.
Mm-hmm.
I like him as Superman. But yeah, it's weird that something came out and then everyone kind of went into denial mode. You'd think like if the real thing came out and it was going to happen anyway, they'd just be like, yeah, but like it sucks that someone leaked, or you know what I mean? I really don't know. It was a weird day for that because I was getting like family and friends were anything comic book related. I get sent a bunch of links on Facebook or whatever. So everyone was like, Henry Cavill's out as Superman. And I was very upset about that. And then I saw all these things that was like, he's definitely not out yet. And I was like, all right, well, I guess we'll just wait and see.
If you had to recast Superman, any ideas who you'd want?
Ooh. No. This isn't a Superman thing though, but I saw this thing on Twitter. Someone was talking about the Titans TV show and like seeing like the picture of Dick and Jason together, and they made the comment that if they ever actually showed Batman in that show, they should cast what is his name, David Boreanaz from like Bones and Angel. But like he kind of has the right look. He'd be the right age.
You know who
I kind of dig that. So that's a Batman one. That's not Superman, but
yeah.
Yeah.
The Army Hammer, I think, would make a decent Superman.
Army Hammer, am I right?
You could winkle my boss.
Yeah.
That's a Social Network comment.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know who I'd put in there as Superman. I really like Henry. I think he's good. You know, whatever issues there are with the writing and stuff like that, that's not on him. He's doing what he's been told, and he's been playing what he's been meant to be playing.
He's just not
very well.
I just find that he's not like getting enough material when he is Superman. Like I feel like even the whole dedicated Superman movies, he doesn't.
Well,
he's not really.
Well, there's only been one.
Well, I know, but
Batman v Superman, he has like 43 lines.
That's what I mean. I feel like even in the dedicated Superman movie, he doesn't really get that much to say. Like there's no real acting. So much of it is just like CGI and like.
I mean,
fights and
yeah, I mean, with the exception of something like Logan, most superhero movies end up being that anyway.
Totally, but I think that's what makes a good Superman story is when you get more story and like dialogue.
I still think he's done it well, but yeah,
I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm just saying that I don't think he's gotten a fair shake at it.
No, I definitely agree there. He's technically been in 3 movies as Superman, but like.
It's a lot of like him like staring off into the distance.
But he's really only had one Superman movie. Like it would be a shame to lose him. But no, I guess we just have to wait and see.
Like him with a beard staring off.
Who knows?
Him with a mustache staring off.
By the time this
him clean shaven staring off.
Yeah, him with the creepy CGI face.
Yeah. Just staring into the distance. Sometimes angry, sometimes mysterious.
By the time this episode comes out, it may have gone officially one way or the other. But
what do you mean? This is the same day. We will literally record this and then send it out.
By the time this comes out.
Fair enough. I mean, anything's possible.
Don't you dare fucking expose the magic of this.
I told you not to talk to me like this in front of the children.
I know things are fucking new around here. It's just the 2 of us now.
Just because our house is burning down in front of us doesn't mean that we need to start attacking each other.
She's en fuego.
So did you see the images of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker?
I did.
It's a weird Joker.
Have you seen the video?
What?
There's like
Pourquoi?
There's a video of them like shooting the scene that those images are. It's the first kind of look
right
of him pre-Joker. He's the what's his character's name? Arthur Fleck, which Kevin Smith pointed out is a Fleck, like Affleck.
Okay, that's really funny.
Which, I don't know if that's just supposed to be like a dig or a funny reference, but at any rate, he's got like longer hair. He's lost a ton of weight for this one, but his like movements in the video are very.
Oh yeah, I'm watching it right now.
Are very fluid. He's like, I don't know.
It's almost comical. It's almost like
a
Joker. But it's very like bouncy, like 1930s and 40s, like black and white. Like,
I can't tell from like these images and stuff. Like in the like short video, he takes like a clown nose off this guy dressed as a clown and throws it, and I can't tell if it's meant to be like endearing and cute or mean spirited. Like, I don't know if he's already like a mean spirited person and then he becomes the Joker, or if he's supposed to be like a very nice guy or a fun guy and then.
Like, do you think it's going to be like Jim Carrey is the Riddler? Where he's this guy who gets like pushed around too much and then he just snaps.
I think it'll be like the Killing Joke, right? Like the One Bad Day. I'd be surprised if this movie wasn't largely Killing Joke-esque. At least in like the origin sense.
I'm watching it right now and it seems like he's the look that he has on this clown is kind of like, I told you, like, I can't be a clown anymore. I can't get back into that business. Like
one more. Just one more heist.
Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in.
You don't turn your back on family.
It's very curious. I'm.
That was my Fast and Furious audition. I want to be Dominic Toretto.
We're family.
We're family. I don't have friends. I have family.
Family's forever. God, I miss him so much.
The thing about a street fight is the street always wins.
And by the street, I mean life.
But yeah, I'm excited. I still think the fundamental premise of this Joker movie is flawed. Like, having a Joker origin movie is wrong in my head. But
God, I miss Paul Walker so much.
Jesus.
So
it's a real memorial episode.
Yeah, I figured just go with the theme, right? Apparently Batman's gaining a new bird-themed partner this coming December.
Yeah, so apparently he is not dead from being shot in the head by the Red Hood. The Penguin is going to be teaming up with Batman.
I thought it was the parakeet.
No.
La parakeet.
Jean Valjean's?
Oh, you found out my new secret identity.
Yep, still Hispanic.
God damn it. Oh, bonsoir.
Yeah, in Batman 60, Batman and the Penguin are going to team up. Basically, since the failed wedding of Batman and Catwoman, Bane has sort of been orchestrating events. He's like building up to some sort of big assault on Batman. But as the solicitation for this issue basically says that Penguin refuses Bane's sort of takeover of crime in the city, and basically is forced then to team up with Batman to take on Bane. And that maybe in the course of teaming up, they start to understand each other a little bit. That maybe there's, hope for redemption or something.
God, he loves to have hope for redemption.
Yeah,
that never comes to fruition.
Oh, it'll never happen. Not long term, at least. But yeah, the Penguin is the bird themed partner that Batman's getting. Batman number 60, I think, is the issue where that happens.
Do you see this right now?
Oh,
my wife and dog are cuddling on the couch right now, stretched out.
That's very sweet.
It's very sweet. Speaking of very sweet, DC announces new Martian Manhunter series from Orlando and Rossmo.
So
sweet.
It's so sweet.
Oh, hey, cheek.
Yeah.
It's been so long. I'm so glad you're back.
I'm pretty excited to pick up this Martian Manhunter.
Oh, it left the Martian Manhunter piece from space that will become relevant soon.
So yeah, this will be the first time he's had a series since 2015, I think, which is when Rob Williams wrote a 12 issue.
Rob Williams? Unfortunately.
Not Robin. But basically, and not Robbie.
The name's Rob.
Oh, God. But this is another 12 issue series. It's not an ongoing. It's a limited run. And yeah, written by Steve Orlando, who wrote Midnighter. He's written all sorts of really good stuff. So I'm excited. I like Martian Manhunter. He's one of my favorite characters. I'm always happy to get more stories.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't know too much what to expect with this one, but I kind of hope, and I was saying this on Twitter with a couple of people, I kind of hope it leans a little bit more into the detective thing, because he's also a good detective.
Yeah.
That's that was his longtime civilian identity. He was Detective John Jones of the GCPD. So
Not John Johns.
Well, exactly. That's he's Jean Johns, and then he was John Jones when he was disguised as
Still the worst.
civilian.
Still the
identity.
worst.
But yeah, I mean, I'm always excited for Martian Manhunter stories. I just kind of hope we get a little bit of that. I think those are tough stories because you want to balance like the alien like space adventure with, and the fact that he's like so powerful, he's like Superman, with something a bit more grounded. But people manage it with Superman, right? Like there's lots of good Clark Kent stories.
Yeah,
So I hope there's a little bit of that in this series.
definitely.
Yeah.
Here's something I have a lot of hope for. Swamp Thing officially names Len Wiseman as executive producer and pilot episode director.
Yeah. So this guy,
He's, you know what? Honestly, he's always attached to stuff that's like surprisingly good, I think. Like Lucifer was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I think
also-
Sleepy Hollow was surprisingly pretty
and he
decent.
had some sort of hand, maybe a producer or something on Underworld. Or was he the director or something.
He was a producer. He was the executive producer on Total Recall.
And I think he's maybe writing or producing some proposed like Die Hard prequel.
What he's really good at is like creating what the look will be for a show. Like,
Yeah.
I think the ones that he's done it for have been really successful. Like that. I mean, I never watched it, but I heard really good things about the Hawaii Five-0 TV show.
It was all right.
People said it was really good, like
all right.
better than it deserved to be.
Probably
considering.
better than the original.
Yeah, and then the Sleepy Hollow series, I loved the idea behind that.
Sleepy
and
Hollow was pretty good, actually.
And, like,
that wasn't a bad show.
like thematically and like visually, like I thought it was really good. The Lucifer show was really like these ended up like everything he seems to be touching ends up being pretty good, considering probably a lot of these were like some of these were lower budget. Some of these like I think I would never have expected a Sleepy Hollow series to have gone as long as it did. Like
He's not someone with whom I'm super familiar, but James Wan is the like the executive producer of this Swamp Thing series. I do know James Wan's work. I'm excited for that. And so if he's got kind of some of these credentials, and then there's also James Wan involved and things like that, I'm still excited for Swamp Thing.
I think, but now I kind of have an idea. I thought it was going to be,
and we know that it's going to draw heavily on Alan Moore's stuff because that was one of the things we talked about last week, was that they're using that anatomy lesson storyline at some point in the
totally. I think I thought it was going to be more like a James Wan stylized thing, and I think now, I mean, obviously he's doing the pilot, so it's probably going to be something closer to what Len's already done, which I'm totally cool with. I think that
he's directing the pilot. He's not in charge of art.
Yeah, but generally, whoever directs the pilot kind of sets the stage for how things look in our films.
I suppose that's true. Yeah.
And so like that's generally like who you set up to sort of show how things are going to go from there on.
Sure.
So I think that like there's a like I've trusted everything he's done. Like I wasn't in love with any of those things. Like he directed the Total Recall movie, which was pretty good, the newer one. Like
yeah, I mean, I don't think any one of those things blows me away, but he has an impressive enough list of things that were pretty big, or at least things that have like their own kind of feel, like you were saying, like they're kind of atmospheric in their own ways.
They all sort of there's certain underlying sort of darkness too, which I think really makes a lot of sense for Swamp Thing. So I have an idea of kind of where they're going to go with it.
Yeah.
I think the subject matter for a lot of the stuff that he's done wasn't typically like really that interesting to me. So now seeing him like with a style that I like, with an actual subject matter that I enjoy, I think it's going to be good. I'm actually like,
I'm excited for that one. This is only related in terms of it's also about the DC universe, like original shows, but we've seen some set photos of like full Robot Man like costume. Looks great. I'm excited for Doom Patrol. I'm excited for Titans. Yeah.
This line of shows coming out, I'm not too afraid of anymore. I think that it's good. I'm very excited for that. I think this is going to be really good. Speaking of good DC shows, the Flash season 5 images have been released, and we get some Chris Klein as Cicada.
Yeah.
Which that's not a character I know very well, but
he's pretty
like they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel to try to find characters now
for a big bad. Yeah, like I would expect Cicada to be like a villain of the week.
Generally,
kind of thing,
they like to release the big bad later on, so I feel like this might not be the big bad. But
no, we knew who the big bad was in season 4 right away. We saw the Thinker in the first episode. We also saw Well, we didn't necessarily see Savitar, but we knew about Savitar pretty early.
Yeah.
In season 3. And we learned about Zoom relatively early in season 2, I think.
Well, I guess so.
But then you didn't actually like encounter him until like closer to halfway through the season or whatever. But
so what's the deal with Cicada? What's
the deal with Cicada? Oh, fuck!
He's got like a lightning bolt in his hand or something like that.
Well, yeah, right. Like this was the thing. Remember that there was that like scene at the end of season 4 where it was the end of the trailer, I guess, for this season where it was like the staff with the lightning bolt on it and it was crackling with some energy. And I had said then that was a weird prop because that's something that like traditionally is a prop I would expect the Reverse Flash to carry.
That's kind of what I thought
Professor
too.
Zoom has had like a staff like that in the past.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the connection is maybe between Cicada and Reverse Flash. The image that they showed of Cicada, he's got this sort of like geodesic kind of black mask on, and I can't tell if it's real or CG.
Oh, that's weird.
Even in the image, I can't tell if it's real or not. And I don't know if that's good or not either. Like, I don't know if I think it looks unfinished or if I think it looks really sleek. Or but it's a pretty like generic image. He's just a guy basically dressed in regular clothes with this mask on.
His whole thing is like about immortality, isn't it? Yeah, like
which maybe he's trying to achieve via the Speed Force, but I also think he's got to be connected to Barry and Iris's daughter, right? She shows up last season and says, "I've made a big mistake." So like maybe she's caused her own kind of flashpoint and she needs help to fix it, and he's related to that. But to be honest, I probably know less or have less educated guesses for this season than I've had for any season of The Flash so far.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I'm hoping that it ends up being one of those things where it's like you didn't expect this character to be as good. But
I hope it's good. Season 4 started stronger for me and then got weak. Like I'd say after maybe like 7 or 8 episodes, season 4 fell into like the season 3 trap of being mopey and like, but it started so good. Like it was like Barry got kind of like a new lease on things. And I know like tragedy happens. They have to react naturally to that, but he's the Flash, right? Like we need, it can't be Arrow, which also shouldn't be Batman, right? Like, like all the way down the line. Yeah. Legends of Tomorrow has managed to find a really cool place to sit as a TV show where it's kind of fun and silly, but they've got heavy moments in there and stuff like that. I want the Flash to basically split the difference, to be fun, take itself kind of seriously, but it's not Arrow and it's not Legends, right? Like it's the nice happy medium. I think that's where it sits. And I think if you watch the first season of The Flash, even the second season, it sits there and it's pretty good at that. I'm hoping season 5 does that because I'm not at risk of dropping it. Like I don't really watch Arrow anymore. I'm not going to do that to The Flash, but I felt at times last season I was just sort of going through the motions of watching it. Yeah. Which, like, that's not great.
No, it's not. Right now I'm trying to get back into it, and I just like
the best energizer you could possibly do is just rewatch season 1 or bits of season 1, and then just skip straight to this, right? Like,
it's true because then it's just like, and then it keeps trying to get fast, and then now new stuff. The problem is then you jump into the new one, and it's just like suddenly there's like 5 flashes, and you're just like, I can't. What?
Even the comics are like that. One of the most recent Flash comics that I read, it's like Flash 53, I guess. The opening panel is Flash in the House of Heroes, which is at the center of the multiverse, and he's having like a conference with all of the Flashes of the multiverse. So you're talking about too many Flashes. There were like 50 some odd Flashes in this room, and he was like, "So this happened on my Earth. Has this ever happened to you guys?"
Jesus. Yeah. I don't know. I really.
Did you pull up the image? What do you think of that like cicada mask?
It's weird. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't tell if it's real or not.
It's super strange. Like I'm trying to. I think it's real.
I think so too, but it kind of looks like it isn't.
But
it looks like he's loading.
A little bit. That's so weird.
It looks like the Animus is loading.
No,
Like
I
it's
think
that kind of.
no, it is. I think it is real though, but it's very hard to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
Anyways, so DC will reveal Hawkman's true origin in December. I feel like we got enough origins from Hawkman.
Well, no, but the central premise of this new Robert Venditti series is not only that he's been reincarnating through time and space, which is his way of sort of reconciling all the different versions of Hawkman, but that Prince Khufu in Egypt, that wasn't his first life. That's been like, in the first issue, he was like, I don't think that's actually the beginning of this story. And so we'll actually get the new sort of definitive origin of Hawkman coming up. This has been a great book. I really, really like it. It's got a real like Indiana Jones kind of vibe to it. But he's also been like going through time, and he's been sort of bounced through time and space. So he's fought himself as Prince Khufu, and then he encountered himself as Qatar Hall of Thanagar. Presumably we're going to see this new like Kryptonian reincarnation of him. That's Qatar All, like OL instead of L. I'm excited to find out what like this new origin is, because Robert Venditti's done like a great job on this series so far. It's really exciting, really interesting, and he's done such a good job trying to streamline all this really convoluted sort of continuity.
I'm excited. That gets me wanting to watch it. So,
well, if you like when like an arc finishes or whatever, I can just loan you the issues and you can read them all in one go.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Finally, I don't know if you've already watched this, but the Batman animated series opening remastered in HD. Have you seen it yet?
Remastered?
Yeah. You want to watch it?
Let's have it.
This intro used to scare me as a child because it was so dark.
Well, I've said it before. It was like a reversed animation technique.
It's so clean.
They would start on like dark panels and then put color on it instead of the opposite. God, this looks good.
It's
I forgot
so
how much it
cleaner.
looks like the old like Fleischer Superman too. And I like how like geometric it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the shadows and that, it's just like block kind of shapes.
Oh,
I love
only with the lighting you get the super
and there's
detail.
no words, you know, there's no.
God, I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's such like an iconic opening sequence.
But it like as a kid, I was a little kid. I was like, "Whoa, this is too dark."
How
for me.
like every couple of years though they have like a new it's like remastered in HD, or like here's the Blu-ray, or like it's like remember this thing you watched 20 years ago? Here's like 30 different versions of it.
Let's see how it's aged. That's always the thing that scares me with like stuff like that.
That show has aged so well. It's still some of the best Batman stories ever. Some of them are adapted from comics, some of them were new for the show, but like that show holds up so well.
Better than any of that stuff I find. Like any of the Marvel cartoons, like
better than most, like better than some print media. Like it holds up better than comics of the same age. Like it's kind of crazy like how good that show is.
Well, it showed in like on kids television networks, but it was really more for like older kids and like teenagers. And
I think they basically had faith that kids can handle. It's not dark like Batman snapping necks, but it had faith that kids could handle serious.
Yes,
it's still clearly made for kids, but it's serious. Right, like Batman still has to save the day, and there's crime, and there's like real lessons in there, but it's still made for kids, and it's still a thing kids can watch and enjoy. Clearly, because we did.
Yeah,
right.
It's true. I just remember as a kid,
no effect on my life.
As a kid, though, I think I was like, this feels like too mature for me, but I'm gonna keep watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you that self-aware?
Kind of. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't.
I was like, this seems a little grown up. Like.
Huh.
I think because nothing else was that dark, like tonally.
I suppose that's true. Yeah.
So it felt like for like older kids.
I mean, the X-Men cartoon was so colorful, so bright.
Yeah.
Which is also a function of the characters, but
That song,
That's another iconic theme song.
that song is like always in my head constantly.
I think maybe my only two criticisms of that X-Men movie, if I could just, the first X-Men movie, which is great and actually like is a real sort of vanguard in the superhero movie.
It helped
genre.
It's helped show that it was like you could actually
It's
do
the
it.
first team movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. Yeah.
Well, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but the two gripes that I have with it, one, that stupid line that Storm says, which is like, what happens when a toad is struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else. That's a stupid line.
Yeah.
And then secondly, that the theme song did not show up in that movie. All I wanted is put on the leather suits like
Yeah. That would have been
That's all I wanted.
That would have been really cool. I'm disappointed that didn't happen, and now I'm going back in time and being upset all over.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck you, year 2000.
Speaking of the year 2000, this week's theme is space.
Doctor in space. Yeah, I thought we'd talk about.
It's a theme I came up with for once.
No, I thought that we would do this. I had this idea.
Oh, fuck you. You can't give me an inch. You can give me 12.
Thank you.
A foot a read.
Jesus. Yes, you did come up with this because I was like, fuck, what should the next episode be? We're 75 deep, and
You finally came to me because after Colin had come up with so many themes, finally you needed somebody else to get ideas.
I know my idea factory is gone. So, your idea was spacefarers. So, cosmic voyagers and things.
Speaking of voyagers, it might have been partially because I've been watching so much Star Trek.
Both of us are on a big Star Trek kick right now.
We're currently on the very last episode.
I just named my new wireless router the
TNG.
Enterprise.
I'm so sad that you can't change both Siri or Alexa to be computer.
I know. I told you this.
Yeah.
I wanted to change it so that it would respond to computer, and then I also wanted to change specific commands to be like Star Trek parlance. So I didn't want to say like, I need directions to. I wanted to say like chart a course, and then have it like computer chart a course to the nearest gas station, and then have it.
That would be really good.
If anyone knows of any sort of like
way that we can make
gray
that happen,
market like mod app that could do that to my phone, I would love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, here's another life hack. Start calling your significant other computer.
Yeah, that would go well.
Computer. Tea, Earl Grey, hot.
I also wanted the... and then if it showed you where in town you can get tea.
No. You just say it to your wife, and then she goes and gets it for you.
I also wanted...
kind of like a replicator.
I wanted to replace like the word call in the voice commands with hail. Yeah.
Oh.
Or just be like, computer, hailing frequency. And then be like, who would you like to hail?
Why isn't this not in my life? I'm so upset by this. Dave, get on it.
Dave Rossi, do you have any sort of app making expertise?
You know, he's the closest we have to this. So Dave, get it. Make this happen.
Pull all the strings. You were just at the Creative Emmys.
Yeah, come on. I saw that Star Trek pin on your lapel.
Great jacket, too.
Fuck, that's such a good jacket. He's so good.
So yeah, spacefarers.
I'm gonna start
because we're on such a huge Star Trek kick right now.
Yeah, hell yeah. Fuck yeah. All right, well, let's go over to the questions then from this.
All right.
To the Twitter.
Twitter.
You all right? So instead, normally I because you just sent them all to me as images, I literally just pulled the images.
Oh, okay.
Because I was just like, I literally don't have to. This is the least amount of time we've had to prepare for an episode.
Yeah.
And you get to benefit.
I've been moving.
Oh, yeah. You guys are done now, though, right?
Yeah, I've just been painting the old place.
Why?
Well, painting it back to neutral.
Did you have to? Is that part of the deal?
Yeah.
Shit.
When you're renting. But
oh, yeah.
Now we're in a place that we own. So.
Suckers.
Thank you.
First question comes from Talking Superman.
Hey.
Talking Superman. You made a comment about the talking people, didn't you, recently, or was that from another group?
A couple of things. Today, I told Talking Superman that he's my favorite person to talk about the multiverse with, and that's absolutely true. And then I also made a comment on Twitter recently that the Let's Talk account for Miss Martian, like Let's Talk McGann, is so delightful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making an assumption that this person is female identifying, and I apologize if I'm wrong there, but she's so positive. She spreads so much like love and support on Twitter, and that is like not
what Twitter does.
what Twitter has been doing lately for years, whatever. And it's so refreshing. She's like my favorite part of my Twitter feed. She's so delightful and like a real like lovely person who chats to lots of people and has real passion for her favorite character, which is Miss Martian. In general, that Let's Talk community is really great. But in particular, Talking Superman and Let's Talk McGann are both they're both like top notch, A+ accounts in my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, let's see what Talking Superman has to say, and it's just like fuck everything.
Yeah, you're a fucking idiot, Doc.
No, Talking Superman asks, why do Ran and Thanagar have so many issues?
Right. So so Thanagar is the homeworld of like the Silver Age Hawkman, the one that's like an alien cop.
Yeah.
So the Thanagarians, obviously this is tied to a ton of retcons and things like that, but for a while they were all Hawk people, and then it was like they were Hawk people and a bunch of them lost their wings, or some of them had like synthetic wings or stuff like that.
Get some Red Bull.
But yeah, it does give you wings.
Gives you wings, yeah.
Not necessarily nth metal wings, but
Fuck, beggars can't be choosers.
caffeine wings. So Thanagar is the homeworld of those Thanagarians. They're like a warmongery, like militaristic people.
Yeah.
Very like conservative, very aggressive, and very like imperialistic.
Yeah.
I think would be a good way to put it. Ran is like a country of sort of pacifists. They're scientists. They are like logical and rational and technologically very advanced, but it's all in the pursuit of scientific knowledge. It's not out of conquest or things like that.
Yeah.
Ran and Thanagar are already kind of like positioned as like the opposite types of worlds from each other. And then things really come to a head during Infinite Crisis when Superboy Prime, as part of this big sort of cosmic multiversal scheme, Superboy Prime shifts the orbits of a bunch of worlds because he's trying to shift the center of the universe.
Yeah.
And he ends up putting basically Ran and Thanagar into the same orbit. And they go to war. And it's a series called Ran Thanagar War. If you were listening a couple of episodes ago, I couldn't think of the fourth tie-in series to Infinite Crisis. It's Day of Vengeance, OMAC Project, Villains United, and Ran Thanagar War. And those two planets go to war with each other. So Hawkman's involved in that. Adam Strange is involved with that because he has a history with the planet Ran. And even in the aftermath of that, then there's a series called Ran Thanagar Holy War. I think we might have a question about this, so I won't go too deep into it. But basically, like once that conflict ignites, it continues to be this underlying thing where these are two planets that do not understand each other, possibly like refusing to understand each other, and are either actively engaged in war or are always on the brink. It's like a really, really sort of tense relationship.
Why don't I ask this question then?
Sure.
Which is, didn't a Thanagarian blood cult convince the populace that Ran was to blame for the for the planet falling into a star? I'm reading Infinite Crisis right now, but I skipped the Ran Thanagar War. This is from Bright Eyes.
Yes, essentially, yes. During Infinite Crisis, there's a lot of different moving parts, but the sort of cosmic one is, it involves like shifting the orbits of those planets, putting them together. Which is clearly not healthy for planets to have their orbits shifted and to be displaced and things like that. Those two worlds are basically pitted against each other. So there's a little bit of like political manipulation to that, to convince the populace that war is necessary and things like that. There's a little bit of like spiritual manipulation, mind control, the actual like geographic shift of those planets and their orbits and things like that.
War. Huh. What is it good for? Well, let me give you a few explanations of why.
Ran Thanagar, ho ho whoa. So essentially Ran and Thanagar, you could argue that putting them in proximity to each other just ignited the fact that they are so polar opposite, right? Like they couldn't be more different. Of course, that sparked, especially because the Thanagarians are notoriously aggressive, right? Rand wouldn't start a war, but that's what an ideal target for a race that would start a war, right? They're pacifists. They think they're better than us because they're smart. You know what I mean? Like, it's that real, like, kind of hawkish conservative, like, it's like the war on the intelligentsia kind of thing, like, made real in a comic book, basically.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's so funny. All right, well, let's go to the next question.
Sure.
Which is from Dave Rossi.
Dave, how's that app coming?
Dash will turn off the podcast.
Oh my God. Dash will. So sometimes people die, and oh Jesus, I didn't want to have to do it like this.
How did you want to tell?
Well, I didn't want him to hear Colin explode.
Why are you thinking about how Dash was learning about things?
Well, because I feel like a certain amount of guilt that he's listened to this podcast. I feel like I need to atone by being some sort of like
father, like parent to parent, like.
He has a father. I just like some sort of like.
Yeah, but he listens to. I mean, what kind of father? Let him listen to Dr. TC.
Take that, one of our most loyal fans. What kind of father are you? Jesus.
Let's see what this son of a gun is good.
We are not long for this format.
So Dave asks, Gem, son of Saturn.
Yeah.
Are there other Saturnians? What's his story?
Right. So
Saturnians?
Yeah.
Saturnians.
Saturnians.
Saturnians?
No, Saturnians.
Saturnian.
No, just say what I'm saying. Ni ends. Oh, for fuck's sake. Jesus.
Yeah.
You've been spending too much time with Ukrainian Popeye. Oh, by the way, Todd.
Yes.
Have you finished filing Colin's death certificate?
Well, yes. I take it and I put it in the folder, and then I folded the folder, and then I provided it to the necessary people.
Right. Okay.
Then I folded them.
You folded the person?
Yeah.
Oh, are they okay?
No, they're dead.
Oh.
So then I had to make a new folder.
So you have a death certificate for them?
Yeah. So then I brought it to a new
Right.
person. Guess what happened?
Yeah, I'm worried that there's like
They died.
I'm worried that there's like a recursive loop of murder.
Well, here, I'll give it to you.
No, you won't.
Next step.
No. Stop folding. Jesus, Todd, get out of here.
I'll fold you real good.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
What was the question?
Saturnians?
Right.
Are there other ones?
So
what's his story?
So Gem, son of Saturn, basically like the Saturnians are like a cloned offshoot race of the Martians. So he's got a lot of the same powers as Martian Manhunter. So we know that there are green Martians and white Martians. The green Martians are like the peaceful good ones, and the white Martians are like the violent bad ones. To be very like regressive about it.
Just like the whites.
I'm sorry. Let's talk McGann. McGann, Miss Martian is a white Martian, but she's good. But generally speaking, white Martian's bad.
Generally, can't trust the whites.
Well, really, right? Am I right? Who's with me?
Put your fist down.
But so the green Martians had cloned like basically a race of Saturnians that could live on one of the moons of Saturn because it's like a mining colony or something for Mars. They treated their clones, like their cloned sort of race, as equals.
Yeah.
The white Martians cloned a race of white Saturnians that they did not treat as equal. They were slaves because the white Martians are like that.
Just like the whites.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's no real joke there.
No.
Yeah.
Just true.
But Gem is a red Saturnian, so he's descended from the green Martian lineage. Yeah, I mean, he's a hero. At one point, he was mind controlled by Lex Luthor, so he was part of the Injustice Gang. He was kind of like their counter to the Martian Manhunter. But there are other Saturnians. Gem is, I think, a prince of Saturn. And he might eventually become the king. But there are other Saturnians. Absolutely. They've featured, I think, in like the new Krypton arc and stuff like that. We haven't seen the Saturnians, as far as I remember, at all in the new 52. Somewhat conspicuously, in the most recent Martian Manhunter series, Ma'alafa Ak is neither green nor white as a Martian. He's red.
Oh.
But they never call him a Saturnian or anything. But it's weird to make a Martian red. But I don't know if that's meant to be a subtle thing that we didn't pick up on, or if that's just like they just changed the color and it doesn't have any connection. But I don't think we've seen Saturnians since the New 52. But they definitely existed. There were multiples of them, but they basically kept to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So next question's from Rasma Berries Reviews.
Nice. The kind you find on the second-hand internet.
Is that like the dark web?
The second-hand internet.
So first question is, he wants to know, so he would like to know who the character is that you have in the Twitter, which is it the Atom?
That's Adam Strange.
It's the Atom Strange.
Adam Strange.
Gotta get that Atom Strange.
Yeah, so the image that I put up in our like hashtag Ask Dr. DC post is a picture of Adam Strange, specifically from the New 52 from Justice League United, which kind of introduced him
Is
to
it just
the
me,
New
or does he
52.
look like the Atom's costume?
No, not at all.
No?
Yeah, couldn't be further. Well, it could, but they're not the same.
I don't know. It's not that far. It's like
It's pretty different.
No, it's like this weird spacesuit thing, especially the one from the TV show.
That's like saying anyone with a cape has a similar costume.
Oh, okay. He's got a helmet on with a friggin' clear thing that goes over top of it. Same like a motorcycle helmet type thing, which is what he's got in the image. He's red and blue and black.
Strange is red and white and black.
It's not
It's
red
totally
and
different.
Oh my god. This is not okay. If you guys agree with me, hashtag
Hashtag Atom Strange.
or hashtag Adam Strange.
Or hashtag
Get that
Richard's
strange.
wrong.
No.
So it's either hashtag Atom Strange or hashtag Richard's wrong.
Okay, sure.
Bad dick.
So, anyways, why did you put Adam Strange in the spacey?
So Adam
photo?
Strange is he's a human, and he gets in his original adventure he gets caught in this thing called a Zeta beam, and he gets sort of accidentally teleported across the galaxy to the planet Ran, which we've just talked about. And there he falls in love with the daughter of this chief scientist named Sardath, and her name is Alana. But the way that it worked in the original ones is the Zeta beam would then, after a certain amount of time, teleport him back to Earth. Like he only had X amount of time on Ran or whatever for adventures, and then he would get teleported back to Earth. But then he got like a schedule from Sardath of where these intermittent Zeta bursts would show up, and he would go to that place on Earth at the right time, and then he would be teleported back to Ran.
Yeah.
That was sort of like the original adventures. That specific mechanism has changed a little bit over time, but essentially he's a human who was brought instantaneously across the galaxy and then became like a hero on Ran. He's like one of the only heroes they have because, again, they're pacifists. But he's got a real like sort of 60s like sci-fi thing. He's got like ray guns and like a jetpack and a cool kind of space outfit and stuff like that. But yeah, he's one of DC's sort of like cosmic heroes. He was a huge part of the Rann-Thanagar War, and then the series after that, Rann-Thanagar Holy War. He's what was the original thing? He was Mystery in Space was maybe like a title that he was a part of. But yeah, he's one of those kind of cosmic spacefaring characters. But it's interesting because he doesn't actually have any powers. It's all tech, right? He has ray guns and jetpacks and stuff like that. He didn't get powers. He's just a human who became the protector of this alien planet. He's almost like he's like the reverse Superman. He ends up on an alien planet and he doesn't have powers, but he's their hero.
I don't know if it's the reverse.
Well, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
I mean, if he tried to like destroy the planet with no powers, one, that'd be impressive, but also
for fuck's sake.
technically. Okay, the second half of his question is he wants to take this chance to ask why Earth has so many Green Lanterns. Which Earth Green Lantern spends the most time in space?
Yeah, why does Earth have so many Green Lanterns?
Why is Earth so prone to superheroes, and like why is it so important to protect is the real question.
Well, over time, there have been retcons to account for the fact that Earth is where everything happens and
So
where everyone is.
multiverse.
But basically, yeah, Earth is kind of like the axis on which the multiverse hinges. That's why the universes are called Earth 1, Earth, blah. They're not called like, Tamaran 3 or whatever, right? Like the universes are designated as Earths. Earth is the center point. We learned in Blackest Night that life didn't begin on Oa, as the Guardians said, because they're famous liars. But life began on Earth. Earth is always like at the heart of life, the universe. Oa is technically maybe like the geographic center of the universe, but Earth is, it's the focal point. So it ends up sort of cosmically involved in like these different energies or fates or things like that. It's why everything always centers around that. Now, why are there so many Earth Green Lanterns? For quite a long time, there were no Earth Green Lanterns, and then there was only one, and you only had one Green Lantern for each sector for a long time. And then technically it was 2, but there are currently, I think, 6 active Green Lanterns on Earth, or of Earth, and it's Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Simon Baz, and Jessica Cruz. I think the implication is that I think Blackest Night set this up too, that for a long time the Guardians had tried to avoid including Earth in universal affairs.
Yeah.
A, because for the most part, Earth didn't know that it was a part of something bigger. and B, because they were trying to keep it hidden that Earth was really where life began. They're trying to basically make people forget about it. But of course, Abentur crashes on Earth. The ring finds Hal Jordan. It kicks off all this thing. Hal Jordan is the greatest Green Lantern. He has the most indomitable will, the most courage. And I think maybe it's implied that is humanity's actual defining trait or characteristic, is its
Courage,
willpower, or ability to overcome or whatever. Which, yeah, fine, fair enough. The actual circumstances of the different Green Lanterns getting rings. Guy Gardner was meant to be a backup Green Lantern for Hal Jordan, but then he was incapacitated, so John Stewart became the backup Lantern, and Guy Gardner got a ring anyway. Kyle Rayner became a Green Lantern when Hal Jordan destroyed the core and became Parallax. Kyle Rayner became the only Green Lantern. And then when they rebuilt the core, he obviously stayed one. He was a White Lantern for a little bit, but he's green again. Simon Baz became a Green Lantern in the New 52. Jessica Cruz became a Green Lantern after being Power Ring. Like, she inherited the Earth 3 Power Rings ring after he was killed. After Harold Jordan of Earth 3 was killed in Forever Evil, she got Power Ring, and that was like a ring that like leeched her and like fed on her fear.
Oh.
Because it's from Earth 3.
Yeah.
And then she defeated that and gained a Green Lantern ring for her, courage and ability to overcome great fear and things like that.
For her courage.
If I only had the knife.
Only character to get 2 songs in that.
What's his other song?
He has the if I were king of the forest.
Oh, yeah. Well, Dorothy gets more than one song.
She does. She's not one of those side characters, though.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, specifically why there are 6 Earth Green Lanterns, maybe there's an updated reason for that, but I do think it has something to do with the idea that, like, humanity's defining trait might be its ability to overcome, fear, like its willpower. Mm-hmm. And then also, I would say because Earth is so, like, multiversally important, it makes sense to load up on Earth Green Lanterns, basically.
Yeah.
I think as far as that mythology goes, I know there's already like so many characters, but I think we're so safely beyond having 1 or 2 specific lanterns for each sector. Like, they go to each other's sectors all the time, and the core has been on the brink of destruction so many times. Like, I think we can kind of blow apart that idea. I think it can just be, if the Guardians make more rings, more people can be Green Lanterns from any sector. I don't think that's technically like the status quo, but I think that would make sense. I don't think that ruins it for me. It used to be that they were all like cops of a precinct, basically. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I don't know that needs to be a hard and fast rule for that mythology anymore. But yeah.
Oh, cool. So from Puff Cheek Pastries,
Puff Cheek Pastries makes lots of food. Thanks delicious treats for me. I wish I could cook.
You really like that, don't you?
I do. I don't know why. I think it's because I didn't think you could make it rhyme.
And you were like, where's he going with this? I don't know where that's
I
going.
know. I was so convinced that you'd fail.
It's where I thrive.
Back against the wall.
Mom. Puff asks,
She's not listening.
no, God, no. Mom asks,
Paging Dr. Freud.
oh God. So Puff asks, what cosmic beings in DC hold physical manifestations like the cosmic beings of existence in Marvel, beings such as Living Tribunal, Eternity, and the One Above All?
Right. I don't know what these Marvel ones are.
No,
Although I
man.
think Eternity, if I'm remembering from our crossovers episode, I think Eternity was meant to be like the physical incarnation of the Marvel universe in that DC Marvel crossover.
Yeah.
So in that context, DC's version of that was Karma. Or no, Kismet. Sorry, not Karma. Kismet. Which was also briefly called Strange Visitor when the spirit of Kismet was
It's a strange visitor.
strange. When Kismet was had like a host human, they were known as Strange Visitor.
Yeah.
So in that context, Kismet, I think, counts. There are other like cosmic beings that sort of represent things. In very recently in Justice League No Justice, we were introduced to the Omega Titans, which each sort of embodied a particular like fundamental force. So there was entropy, wonder. Fuck, I actually don't remember what the other two were. One was like intelligence or something. Shit, I can't believe I literally just read this like within the month.
You got stuff going on. It's okay.
Sorry, it's entropy, wonder, wisdom. That's the intelligence one. Thank you. Yeah. So those 4 Omega Titans were sort of released when the source wall was broken, and there was this whole thing about them trying to kind of find balance. And so each of these teams had to go to a world that was the most of one of those things.
Yeah.
And turns out Earth was at the heart of entropy, I believe, which causes Lex to stop being a hero. He sort of sees it being futile to be a hero if the kind of fundamental force of Earth and the universe and that is maybe entropy. Yeah, so there's those. Before they were quote unquote killed during Lights Out, you could say that the emotional entities, they're physical embodiments of each of their pieces of the emotional spectrum. The red entity, the rage entity was the Butcher.
Mm-hmm.
The orange entity was Ophidian. The fear entity is Parallax. The will entity is Ion. The hope entity is not gonna remember the name. I'll come back to that one. The compassion entity is Proselyte, and the violet entity of love is the Predator. But basically, those entities kind of gave themselves up to replenish the emotional reservoir beyond the source wall. I think only Parallax is left now. But yeah, I mean, I think you can make the argument that those are physical manifestations of fundamental forces. The Speed Force itself doesn't necessarily take on a physical form, like as a single person or something like that. But we know the Speed Force has a consciousness, and it is a fundamental force of the multiverse. It's like part of the fabric of reality. So that might count in terms of Puff's question. There are some things in there, but I can't, unfortunately, make direct comparisons to the Marvel ones because I just don't know those Marvel ones well enough. I don't know what the One Beyond All or whatever is. The presence, like God, like the ultimate creator in DC, has recently often shown up in the form of a little Scotty dog, little Scottish Terrier. That's the physical manifestation of God. But yeah.
That's awesome. Next question comes from. Ooh, I think this is a new contributor.
Oh.
This is basically DM God.
All right.
Who asks, what Earth Green Lantern would you like to see a solo series of? What Green Lantern in general?
Right. So the Earth one, I think I said John Stewart. I actually answered this like straight away on Twitter. Because I couldn't, I didn't know if this was meant to be a question for the episode or not. But I said John Stewart, and the reason I said that is, well, first of all, he was sort of like the cartoon one that I remember watching as a kid. He's kind of the Green Lantern that I know. But I like him because he's a military man. He's very serious, but he's an architect, so there's a certain creativity to him. He kind of understands like the mechanism or the engine of things. He's learned hard lessons. Like his hubris and his pride are the reason that Xanshi was destroyed. He deliberately sidelines Martian Manhunter on that mission and goes to stop this bomb that's going to destroy the planet, only to find that the bomb is entirely yellow and he can't use his ring and the planet is destroyed. And it takes a very, very long time for Martian Manhunter to forgive him for that. And actually, in Justice League number 7, Scott Snyder makes a very touching moment between John and John, where they actually finally explicitly reconcile over that incident, which, in comic book terms was like 20 years ago or more. Yeah. I like John. I'm interested in all of that stuff. I think he's, Hal is such like a stereotypical protagonist. He's so like overly confident and like, we'll punch until we win. Like that kind of thing. John is he's much more of a thinker, but he's not necessarily like emotionally open. Like he still has things he's not good at. There's aspects he's not perfect, but he's a good leader. He's strategic. He's serious. I'm excited to see him in that Green Lantern Corps movie, especially playing off someone like Hal. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to see a solo Green Lantern book that was just a John book, not John and the Corps. There's been lots of those, but just John on Earth. I would like that. Yeah, just call it Just John. It sounds like his like self-help like column in the Daily Planet. It's like Just John. Just John. My partner's not committing. Be like, well,
you're gonna blast him in the face with his green ring.
Have you tried making a construct of blast him in the face? Yeah.
So what about and your general?
Oh, right. Like and then just like any one of them. I'd be interested in Aricia. She's a pretty major Green Lantern character. I'd like to see maybe a solo miniseries or something about Aricia. I'm only since doing the podcast and talking to the guys at the Lantern Cast, I'm kind of into the idea of Medfill. He's like a plant Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And during the Rot World arc in the New 52, Medfill was the Green Lantern of Sector 2814, so he had like a connection to that story and things like that. I'd be kind of into that.
Weird plant Green Lantern. It's like the green and the green and
it's kind of like putting a bunch of those like ideas together. Yeah, and I mean Sodom Yat, he was such a major character, and he's basically just been like absent since the New 52. It's kind of conspicuous how absent he is. So I think it's about time we got Sodom Yat back in there, because he was the host of Ion. And he's a Daxamite, so he basically has all of Superman's powers, and he was the most powerful Green Lantern for a bit. Like that's a cool character. I'd love to see that character back.
Totally. I took this question as TV show.
Oh, okay.
So,
like who would you want to see as a Green Lantern? Like casting?
No. Like instead of a comic series,
who do you want to see a TV show of?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And so first, obviously, it's John Stewart from the Earth 1 book. Like I want that version.
Was John in the Earth?
Wasn't it? Or was it
No, it's Hal.
Hal Jordan. That version,
Right.
I think like
Well, yeah, Earth One really like spoke to you. Green Lantern Earth One.
it really did. And then for you're gonna like this, I think. For my general one,
Sure.
it's an animated show.
Sure.
Much like 2001's Osmosis Jones,
Okay.
Liesel Pon.
Is that like the bacteria? Green
Yeah.
Lantern? Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the inside the human body kind of thing, but like he also has Green Lantern abilities, making an animated series. I think like he originally showed up.
You should do it where you partner him with Mogo, the planet Green Lantern.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
The biggest possible Green Lantern
With the
and the smallest possible.
I think that would be super fun because I think that I think Liesel like was like stuck on some planet with like a crazy bacteria virus or something.
Well, yeah, and he was trying to get away from the Nazis.
Really?
That's a Sound of Music joke.
Oh,
Liesel.
oh, Jesus! Wow. Sorry, I'm not up on my
For
Sound
all
of
of you
Music.
DC Comics / Sound of Music fiends out there.
Also, spoilers.
Yeah, it just came out.
um,
It's this new thing. It's called The Sound of Music.
I definitely want. Talk to me about Liesel Pond. I'm very interested. I just kind of figured out about this character, and I am very interested to hear more.
I'd be lying if I said that I actually knew all that much.
No, I
Other
can't
than-
imagine anybody does.
I think the interesting thing is that it's like a bacterial character, right? That's what's cool about the Green Lantern Corps, and in general anything sort of cosmic, is it's so willing to explore the idea.
It's just life, right?
of sentient life. Yeah. That anything.
I mean, this is also like a super intelligent like bacteria, but I think it's like a flu virus or something. It's smallpox virus.
It's sentient. I mean, in the case of other core, you don't even necessarily need to be sentient. Like Dexstar is a Earth house cat that gets a Red Lantern ring.
Oh, really?
Because of how?
Oh, that's right.
Because of its rage. Because it sees its owner get like killed, and then
Yes.
it gets like put in a bag and drowned and shit like
Ugh,
that. Like,
yeah.
But that's a Earth house cat. It's not what we would consider to be sentient.
Totally.
But I love that idea that, like, yeah, I mean, it's something the size of a planet. Maybe it operates like a planet, but it's an organism, or it has a consciousness, or
Totally.
whatever. There's Ranks the Sentient City as a member of the Sinestro Corps, or, Danny the Street we've talked about before in the Doom Patrol. Like, I love the idea of, like, this sort of, like, atypical conception of consciousness, that it's not just things that look like people, right? So I don't know very much about this particular Green Lantern.
Let me know.
I'll be honest,
I'm
but
curious.
Lantern Cast guys, or anyone else that's big into Green Lantern, tell us a little bit more about Liesel.
Yeah, is there a good book? I want to.
Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
All right, so our next questioner is Long Box of Darkness. Haven't heard from them in a little while.
No parents. Darkness.
Oh,
No parents.
Long Box of Darkness. No parents. They ask, I've always been curious about The Wanderers. I own 3 issues of that. Was a really like sexual noise you just made there. Like,
Tell me more about Wanderers.
I'm gonna wander all over that body.
I'm already
Your
wandering.
body's a wonderland.
We're all just wandering.
All right. I own 3 issues of the Maxi
Wandering through
series
time and space.
from the mid 80s, but couldn't get my hands on the rest. My question is, what is the team's origin and how do they tie into Legion continuity?
Yeah, so they...
So one, who are they and how do they
the
tie in?
Wanderers were like a group that sort of preceded the Legion.
The Wanderers.
They existed before the Legion had like a charter, before that was an actual team. They didn't, unlike the Legion, they weren't like all people that necessarily had powers. A couple of them did. One of them had like quantum powers, but some of them just had like, one had like blow darts and shit. Like, I guess they were like space blow darts, but like, it was like, it was like just shit like that. I can't remember even all of their names. I think the thing that makes the Wanderers stand out is that they were this sort of group of space travelers, but specifically, this is the group that if you listen to our Marvel and DC steal from each other episodes, the Wanderers were going to be the team that would have featured Nightcrawler.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we did talk a little bit
If
about
Nightcrawler had actually come to be at DC, which
Yeah.
was kind of the intent of the creator. as we all know, that isn't what happened. Nightcrawler became an X-Man and became like a good guy. But you read the sort of thing. The
Yeah.
Wanderer's like he was going to be kind of not necessarily a bad guy, but kind of like amoral sort of thing. And the Wanderers, I think, were like mind controlled a bit. So, you know, like the Legion had to fight. This is anytime there's like a couple of teams, someone has to fight someone, and mind control is an easy way to do that.
Yeah.
But they're not a team that shows up a lot. They're pretty obscure. But unlike the Legion, they didn't all necessarily have powers. They weren't like a super formal group. But yeah, they're meant to have existed before there was a Legion of superheroes, but they're from roughly the same era. And yeah, I think the most notable thing about that team is that would have been where Nightcrawler made his debut if he debuted for DC.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Last question on Twitter is from our old friend Stump Chunkman.
Step into the stump. Stump Chunkman. Bleh!
We haven't done that in a while.
No.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Stump asks, in Green Lantern, a lot of Green Lantern questions. I get space, you get Green Lantern.
Well, and especially like if you're thinking spacefaring, I think it implies like who are the people, like the humans that have gone to space.
Totally.
And it definitely like Green Lantern is the easiest way.
yeah, for sure. So he says, in Green Lantern, is there any stories in this sector that don't take place on Earth, or is Earth the only inhabited planet in said sector?
I'm sure there are stories that specifically take place in Sector 2814 that don't involve Earth. I can't necessarily think of one offhand, but there have to be. But I can guarantee that Earth is not the only inhabited planet in the sector. I don't even remember what book it is, but Hal or someone says that there are several hundred or possibly even like into the thousands of inhabited planets in that sector. So just Sector 2814, there are hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of inhabited worlds that basically one or two Green Lanterns are meant to patrol. And then one sector over, 2813, that's where Krypton was, but there's definitely more inhabited worlds there because when Krypton exploded, that Green Lantern wasn't out of a job. Like there was still other... That was Tomar Ray's sector.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, I can't necessarily name a specific story other than ones, I guess, where, you know, like they have to go to Mars or stuff like that. That's clearly in our sector and isn't on Earth. But there are definitely other inhabited worlds. It's a very populated sector. It's not just Earth sitting there. It's not just one planet that Hal has to worry about or that John has to worry about or whatever. But again, because it's comics and it's storytelling, it's usually either the farthest reaches of the galaxy or it's on Earth.
Yeah.
It's very rare that we're just like a couple of stars over.
Just follow the North Star.
Yeah.
Over, until the sun.
Well, Polaris, that's a particularly contentious star system. That's where Rand and Thanagar are.
Oh, yes, which we've already touched on.
So maybe don't follow the North Star.
Yeah, probably don't do that. No, not a good idea.
But yeah, there are tons of inhabited worlds. I'm positive that there's a story. Maybe there's a story that just doesn't specify where in space they are, and you could safely assume, like, if it's one of those Silver Age ones, it's like this is a planet where like trees are blue. Like you could just be like, sure, that's in Sector 2814. Why not? He's patrolling that sector.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, the Dr. DC podcast will be back after this quick break.
My name is Great Lakes. Remember it well, for it is the chilling sound of your grooming company. This episode of the Dr. DC podcast is brought to you thanks to our cool sponsor, Great Lakes Grooming. They sent us some products to try. A laundry service that delivers. Wow! Including pine tar soap. You can use it in cold water. Traditional recipe, added freshness of peppermint. Cool. Peppermint lime lip balm. Because in the winter, you get chapped lips.
Oh, so cool.
Always winterize your lips. Great Lakes Grooming is meant to be easy and ready to use, rain or shine. Can you be cool? All their products are purposefully designed and environmentally responsible, handmade in Canada, ready for adventure wherever one may find themselves. On a chilly day, in the snow and ice. It's ice to have good products. And for you lucky listeners, you can get 10% off Great Lake Grooming's regular price products by going to www.greatlakesgrooming.com and using the promo code DRDC Podcast. What came first, dinosaurs or the Ice Age? The Ice Age! That's not even the line. That's www.greatlakesgrooming.com. Promo code DRDC Podcast. And now, on to the show.
The goggles, they do nothing.
You really ran out of cold like things to say.
Chill.
It was just cool.
Cool party.
Cool. I was like, I don't think you could think of any other words to say cold.
No, it was a good idea in my head.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised we haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I was thinking of that in the car today.
Maybe it was too on the nose. Like
Rapid service that delivers. Wow. Cool.
Oh, we're back. Hey, that was fuck. We're going to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
Do you like doing it? I think you.
Am I blue?
Instagram.
Great Lakes Groove.
I love that I introduced you to that. I can't believe you hadn't seen that.
I know. I blew my fucking mind.
Jazz Batman.
Instagram. When I'm alone and I use my hands.
Did you say you jerk off to Instagram?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That.
You know you can turn safe search off, right?
Oh.
This changes everything.
Oh my god. So I just took a screenshot of these photos. So of the questions.
Yeah.
So let's go to the first question, which is from Elia Rootlinger,
I don't think this is really a question.
who says,
I'm not even sure it's really a person.
"No, this is clearly for us. Amazing star and gorgeous collection. Peace sign. Clap hands. Keep up the good work. Thumbs up." So what do you have to say about that?
Well, so here's the thing with Tamaran.
Oh, okay. Second question from the real Josh Gill.
Gil.
Gil, he's so cute. He can't help himself.
Jesus.
One of these
Come
days.
on.
Gonna put his wiener in my mouth.
Wow. Like lawsuit.
It's really, I think if anything, it's HR, and it's an HR problem first.
Yeah. Okay. That's not saying it can't be, though.
I at least get a warning. I haven't gotten even a write up.
What do you mean you haven't gotten a right? I've warned you about this every time you've
Yeah, but you don't count. You're not HR. You're not even my manager. I'm not even supposed to be here today. Josh has to say, Space Cabbie, the greatest unsung hero of DCU?
Yeah, Space Cabbie's a weird character. It's literally a space cabbie. Not from as far a future as the Legion, but like a spacefaring future.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like literally a space cab driver. But he's had a bunch of different appearances, and like a couple of times I think he's like helped out Superman on an adventure and stuff like
He
that.
helped out that Fifth Element that one time.
Yeah, it's Bruce Willis. But Space Cabbie is kind of like
Am I Bruce?
which works because he's Batman.
I know. That's why it's true for.
Space Cabbie has a bit of like popular like knowledge now. Like people know who it is because Space Cabbie was part of, is it Justice League Action or Batman Brave and the Bold? One of those animated shows brought Space Cabbie in like a couple of times
Really?
as like a fun character to throw in the mix.
It does sound like a fun
And so then
character.
people are like, Space Cabbie, and like, but like that's a character from comic books.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily have a ton of appearances, and he's not necessarily that interesting. but it's kind of
The
weird.
concept's fun. It would be like and then people get in the cab and they have to do trivia so that they win the
Space
the
cash
fair.
cab?
Yeah, space cash cabby. Space cash cabby.
Space Sean Connery.
Here, welcome to the space cash cabby.
Cash cab.
Famous mothers for 400. Ha! My time has come. Anal bum cover.
I spent my entire life trying to develop an anal bomb cover. Failing to do so is my greatest regret.
Yeah, again, Space Cabbie is a very obscure kind of character. But for those that have maybe seen Space Cabbie in the cartoon, you're like, oh, what a funny idea. What a funny, like, there's comic books. You can go online, like look it up on Comic Vine or like the DC Wiki or whatever. Space Cabbie has actual appearances. He has team ups with Superman. He has team ups, I think, with the Green Lantern Corps. Like he's in there. He's part of DC. That's a real thing that exists.
That's awesome.
It sounds like a Dial H.
It does. It sounds like it's like a platform for a Dial H.
Yeah.
And then Josh also asks, best non-Green Lantern stories to read for an intro to the cosmos of the DCU.
Right. Beyond big event things like Infinite Crisis, Ranthanagar War, or Ranthanagar Holy War, or stuff like that take place in space. A great cosmic one that we haven't really been talking about this time around, because maybe it's too cosmic and not just set in space, is like anything with the New Gods. Anything featuring Jack Kirby's New Gods or like Mr. Miracle or things like that. There's lots of sort of the cosmic side of DC is in there. The 52, the series 52 ends up like going kind of, sorry, hang on. Not 52. Countdown. I'm confusing myself because I've been huffing paint all day, but one of those does go like multiversal. There is a bit of like Earth hopping and things like that. So it's kind of cosmic in the parallel Earth sense. And then I would recommend different versions of the Omega Men series, which is, I think, something we'll talk about later in this episode because I think we have a question about it. But the Omega Men takes place in the Vega sector, which is like the one sector of space the Green Lanterns aren't allowed to patrol. They don't patrol that. There's a bunch of different planets that are in there, like Tamaran, where Starfire is from, Okara, which is the home of the Orange Lantern. Yeah, it's the home of the Citadel, the Omega Men, obviously. The Omega Men series is the one where Lobo made his first appearance. There's all sorts of things that take place in the Vega sector. Well, yeah. It's actually is it a sector or is it just like a single solar system? I think there's like 25 habitable planets in this area. But there's the Omega Men deals with like kind of political intrigue in this sort of like unpoliced sector of space, which is kind of interesting. Let's see. What are other good ones to explore the cosmos? Any of those old Adam Strange stories, you know, if you go back to the Silver Age, and I think called like Mystery in Space or something, or there's a few different like anthology comics where Adam Strange had stories, or, you know, Silver Age Hawkman, anything with that Katar Hall, the Thanagarian Hawkman. Those are great, like aliens and spacecraft and ray gun kind of stories. Mm-hmm. I think that's a fun way to encounter like other planets and stuff like that. The ultimate short answer, I think, is any series that features an alien, there's a shot that you're going to learn something about like another world or whatever. Any Lobo series, sometimes, you know, stories involving Starfire, especially if her sister Blackfire, the villain, is involved, then you get a bit of Tamaran in there. You know, Legion of Superheroes, of course, because that's the whole premise, is that they're all from different planets. Legion of Superheroes comics are great to learn about other places, but they're in the future, so you're not necessarily learning about like the contemporary DC universe if you do that. But yeah, I think there are lots of options for that.
I'm gonna definitely have to check this out
if it ever comes out. Justice League Odyssey.
Oh yeah,
it keeps getting pushed back and changed and stuff like that. If it ever comes out, that might be one to check out.
Definitely, I definitely want to check that out. Well, let's go over to Reddit where everything's happy and no one's ever mean.
Yeah.
First question from Paralosophical. Paralosophical? Yeah.
Okay.
They ask, why didn't Kryptonians abandon their planet and live somewhere with a yellow sun?
That's a good question.
Did they know that they had these abilities within the yellow sun?
Well, this is the thing where it gets maybe a little unclear.
Because I always thought that it was just like the L family that figured that out because the grandfather.
So in the comics, you definitely get the sense that at the generation where Krypton is about to like explode, that Krypton has become very insular, very possibly even like xenophobic, that they haven't really explored space in several generations or even centuries or whatever, that they kind of they're closed off. And they play that up in Man of Steel. That's a big part of that they abandoned their outposts and things like that and just sort of became their own little self-contained thing. In the comics, I think you can, reasonably say that they're just they had forgotten, over those generations that other things were out there or other things could happen. Mm-hmm. I think the other thing you could maybe reasonably assume in comic books is that in the era where they were exploring space, they were trying to seek out similar systems. So they probably found another red sun. We know that that's the case with Daxam, the planet that Mon-El is from. The Daxamites are descendants of Krypton. And that's like an old Kryptonian colony. Now, Daxamites have developed a weakness to lead, which is the most hilarious weakness. They're so easy to stop. And they're incredibly xenophobic, but they are like of Kryptonian descent. So Mon-El has basically all of Superman's powers. That's why he's given the name Mon-El, because for a while Superman thinks he's another Kryptonian. He doesn't realize, and Mon-El has lost his memory and stuff like that. He's not actually a member of the House of El. Mm-hmm. But in that case, like Daxam also orbits a red sun. So, maybe they're seeking out similar things in the way that we would be like, we have a yellow sun. What do they call it? Like a main sequence yellow sun or something like that. Main sequence star.
Wrong guy, I don't know.
We would seek out like a planet that was like the appropriate distance from the same type of sun that had the right atmospheric composite. We wouldn't just like show up on another planet and be like, let's roll those dice. So I think that's a reasonable explanation for that sort of thing. The one thing I will bring up though is in the movie, in Man of Steel, they talk about these outposts in this Kryptonian exploration. And part of that in the movie is that Kryptonians had explored Earth like tens of thousands of years earlier. That's why Jor-El knows about Earth, because there's record, and he knows kind of what a yellow sun would do. But then when you see that scout ship on Earth, there's like corpses in it and things like that. So I don't know if it's because the scout ship crashed and they died before they could absorb yellow sun radiation, or but where are they? Where are these yellow sun Kryptonians? Why didn't they send a message back that was like, we are so fucking powerful here? Or, you know what I mean? Or anything like that. We don't know enough about that universe to know what happened to them or why that message never got back or why it wasn't a valid thing to then have all of Krypton be like, well, why don't we move there? We'll be gods. They already had artificial population control, or they were mulling it over. If you're immortal, then you don't even need to worry about making new ones, right? So I don't really know what the explanation in the movie universe would be. I don't think they thought about it.
No.
In the comics, I think there's reasonable expectations that maybe they were seeking out just similar planets and things like that. And then maybe that's just lost generational knowledge or things like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure there have been at least a couple of comics over the long history from the Golden Age until now that have specifically dealt with this issue or this idea. But I hesitate anytime that those things come up to make it in my head this is the only way it is, because those are the types of continuity details that get changed. Krypton exploding won't change. That doesn't matter who writes Superman, that won't change. or if it does, it will get instantly undone. But like why was Krypton like this? Like, those are the things where writers are like, I have a cool idea, or I have a cool idea. Those things are so fluid that I think you kind of just have to suspend your disbelief a little bit and assume the most reasonable explanation, which to me is that they wouldn't be looking for yellow stars. They might not, even if they passed through a yellow sun system, they might have been like, oh, I feel great, but they wouldn't necessarily have discovered their powers or things like that. And then because they had abandoned exploration so long ago, they might have lost that knowledge. Even on Krypton, you can lose knowledge. I mean, that museum in Brazil just burned down. It's like a 200-year-old natural history museum, and they lost all of these recordings of like indigenous Amazonian languages, and they're gone. Like they were the only recordings before the people that could speak those languages died. Yeah. And those recordings are gone now. And some things can't be digitized. Like tape, it would put the tape in danger to try and digitize it. Yeah. So like the Library of Alexandria thousands of years ago burned down. Like, we live in a world still, even in the digital era, where we can lose knowledge,
huge swaths of knowledge,
very easily. I don't think it's unreasonable to assume the same thing happened on Krypton.
It's true. All right, let's head over to email.
Check the email.
Hope it's from a female.
That got very like sassy.
It did it?
Yeah.
Hope it's from a female.
Yeah.
So this last question and only question from email. This question comes from email. Comes from Hector.
Okay.
Hector. Who asks, can you talk about some of the means of quick interstellar travel in DC? Is there something like hyperspace or warp drive?
Right. Yeah, there are a few different things. The Phantom Zone can be used for travel. I mean,
oh really? I guess
not necessarily intentionally, but Kara on her way to Earth ends up going into the Phantom Zone,
and then comes out,
and that's why there's like the time difference, because she was older than Cal, and then is younger than him because she was in the Phantom Zone for so long. And in the movie Man of Steel, the engine they use is called the Phantom Drive. They manipulate the Phantom Zone, which warps space, basically becomes like a warp drive kind of thing to project them through vast distances. Green Lanterns currently use this thing that they call transluminal space, which is basically like a hyperspace highway of light. Because they manipulate light.
Hyperspace highway, danger zone.
Good. You nailed it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Because they manipulate like the light of the emotional spectrum, they can travel through transluminal space, so they can move faster than the speed of light that way. Mm-hmm. There are like spaceships with hyperdrives, or
is there a lot of like spaceships in DC?
There are lots of spaceships. Like any sort of like major alien race in there. The Kuns, the Durlans,
You're a Durlan.
You're a Durlan. Even the Daxamites or the Dominators or whatever. There are lots of spaceships. Warworld is a spaceship. Like the Justice League has spaceships, for their cosmic adventures and things like that. There are lots of spaceships that manipulate some form of like a hyperdrive, or you travel through a wormhole, or you whatever, go through the Phantom Zone, or any of these other things can become part of that. Let's see. I'm trying to think of specific other like propulsion methods. I think for the most part, you're just meant to assume it's some form of generic kind of hyperdrive or light speed or warp drive. I don't know that they necessarily go deep into the mechanics, but the two that stand out are either manipulating the Phantom Zone or transluminal space, which Green Lanterns use. Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Those are some good space questions.
I do want to quickly shout out the Omega Men that I briefly mentioned there.
Oh, yeah. I think someone just said, I'm not familiar with them somewhere.
That's not really a question. No. But basically, that series, there's a very recent one that is, it's awesome. But basically, they're like freedom fighters. That Vega sector I talked about where Green Lanterns can't patrol.
Yeah.
It's basically conquered space by this government called the Citadel, and they're tyrants, of course. And they rule all of the Vega system. They invade Tamaran. They like all of this kind of stuff. The Omega Men are made of they're freedom fighters from different worlds of the Vega sector. It includes a character called Primus, a character called Tigor, who's like a
Primus is like boom, 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 boom.
How did you know? Yeah. That's the secret history of Primus. If you watch their behind the music, you would see they'd be like, they grew up in the Vega sector. Okara is there. Like the native Okarans are very like peaceful people, but Okara is now the home of Larfleeze, the Orange Lantern.
Okara means family.
Jesus, you're on. You're good.
Yeah, it's one of those days.
But
You're stuck in fucking
that Omega
government
Men
training all day.
series is all about like they capture like the White Lantern Kyle Rayner. They try to use him as leverage. Like it's about like the gray morality of war. They're meant to be the good guys, the freedom fighters, but they are just like they're terrorists. But that's
Terrorists.
the. Are you doing Ben Kingsley doing the Mandarin?
Terrorists.
You'll never see me coming.
Terrorists.
Terrorist. Some people call me a terrorist. But that's the whole sort of premise of that series is like in that sort of war or using those sort of tactics, like, yeah, they're maybe fighting for the right thing, but the way they fight or the fact that they fight really, like, are they any different from the Citadel and things like that? Like, it's a really interesting series to explore, like, what that situation does to those people. And it's a really cool version of the Omega Men team. And Kyle Rayner is in there for a bit of flavor. He's not usually part of the team, and he's technically not part of the team. They've kidnapped him and they cut his throat in the first issue. But yeah, I definitely shout out the Omega Men. That's the most recent series of them, but any version of the Omega Men is kind of interesting because it's about this sort of like space fight that cannot include Green Lanterns, basically, because they're not allowed in the Vega sector. So it's just like spaceships and, you know, ray guns and bombs and subterfuge and things like that. It's pretty neat. It's kind of Star Warsy in a way because the Citadel's kind of like an empire. So there's sort of shades of that to it too.
Shit.
Dial Doc?
Fuck yeah. Shit. Yeah, so now on to this week's Dial Dog. Fuck. Do you have anything?
Yeah, mine is called the Bamboozler.
So for new listeners,
Oh, sure. Basically, every week at the end of the episode, we try to come up with a brand new hero with a weird power that would fit in like a Dial H comic book. If you used the H dial and became a random superhero or supervillain, we're trying to come up with new ones of those because they can be very silly or fun. So mine's the Bamboozler. It's a supervillain.
ooh,
Or she. Doesn't really have to be a particular gender. But the Bamboozler supervillain kind of looks like a game show host, but basically has like sort of like the implement, like instead of having like batarangs and stuff like that, has like implements that would be like knockoff of game shows, like would have a giant wheel they would like throw and stuff like that. But their additional power is like confusion. So the Bamboozler shows up and you kind of get confused. You forget like why you're fighting or who you're fighting, and then they throw like the Wheel of Fortune or the $10,000 pyramid or like whatever at you. They'd be like their tools are reminiscent of game shows. It'd be like a briefcase from Deal or No Deal or something, and then their actual power is like confusion. So they're a little bit like Count Vertigo, but instead of like physically putting you off balance, it's like mentally. Yeah, that's the Bamboozler. That's the one I've come up with.
fuck.
I really hope no one's been called the Bamboozler in like 80 years of superhero comics.
It seems like it would be something. Yo, the Bamboozler.
Well, specifically in that voice.
Yeah.
I've been bamboozled.
Okay. I got it. So the character is called. It's like guitar. No.
Wall.
Character is called. It's a villain.
Okay.
and his name is Blarney Stone.
Okay.
Um,
You have to kiss him?
no, so that's how you beat him.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I don't know that I like where this is going.
no, it's
Keep
okay.
going.
It's not as bad as you think it is. People will believe anything that he tells them.
Okay.
So,
Right.
so he's
So he's got like the power of persuasion.
yes,
Right.
but like to like umpth degree, like anything
right.
that he says, his so the I mean the where he thrives is around large groups of people.
Sure.
His arch nemesis is Shazam.
Okay. You've been doing this the last couple of times. You're giving like specific rivalries.
Yeah, I like to try to pin it up against people because
Okay.
specifically because it's against Billy Batson.
Okay.
And it was Blarney Stone was originally like a kid that was sort of like a dorky kid at the school who wasn't like who like when Billy started becoming Shazam, he started getting all his confidence and just kind of treated this kid like shit. And he's like this little
Billy was a bully?
yeah.
Bully Batson.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but like unassumingly, but like just kind of ignored this kid.
Right, not intentionally.
It was kind of in the kid who's in like
I was going to say this sounds more like Billy.
yeah,
He's
and
not
so
deliberately being.
no, but this kid ends up getting this, and he's just kind of upset because Billy starts like suddenly is becoming more confident, and he doesn't understand why he can, so he gets really upset. So the only way to beat him is by anybody kissing him, which is this really like dorky kid. So being able to get somebody to do that,
Does it like incapacitate him for a certain length of time? Is it like
it takes away the ability,
but
to
like
do it.
completely
Yeah,
forever?
Yeah,
So you only have to beat him once.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he is clearly the psychotic kid who like ends up realizing that he can convince all of Billy's friends that they don't like them, convince his parents
Right.
that Billy's trying to kill them.
Oh, Jesus.
Suddenly everybody's trying to kill Billy, and like every time that he tries
Billy?
yeah, kill Billy volume 1.
Killy Billy?
And like to the point where like he's trying to like catch him, but like just in like groups of people, he's like, that guy's trying to kill you. And so everybody's just like murdering each other and murdering him. And like, and the kid starts getting psychotic to the point where he's like going in people's houses and just being like you're gonna like make me dinner.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, it's a really cool power and terrifying.
Yeah.
I might say it's a little problematic that the way to defeat this character is to give them a kiss they don't want.
Well, no. What he does is the way that
Feels maybe like this is the wrong era for that.
No. The way you do it is you convince like if there's somebody that always liked him and he didn't know, and so there was like a young boy or girl who actually had a crush on him,
Right.
And he like you convince them that like they should
Sure.
try to pursue that relationship because deep inside he's actually a good kid.
Right. Yeah.
I'm trying to get the kissing part of the Blarney Stone in there. I don't know.
know.
Help me.
My wife has been to Ireland and been to the Blarney Stone and like done the done the kiss or whatever. But apparently
She had some
like,
weird rash on her face after.
Well, apparently like everything around it is like soaked in piss or something because like at night like people get drunk and just like
because it's
some,
funny to piss on
or
the
whatever or
thing
shit
that
like that. Like I don't know if you can piss on the Blarney Stone because the Blarney Stone isn't like on the ground. It's like up in the castle. It's like you have to be like leaned out and you kiss up or something.
Oh,
I might have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's like a weird like angle. It's not just like a stone
it's not
on
just
the
a stone
ground.
on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Blarney Stone's my character.
Bamboozler and Blarney Stone.
I like these ones. So we'd love to hear what type of characters you guys can come up with.
Yeah.
You guys and girls.
Hashtag dial doc.
We've gotten a few. And
we have, yeah.
I always like to see them. Would love to see any of the artwork or any of your favorite characters we've come up with so far. Would love to do that. We definitely would give that lots of props because we definitely want to see your versions of these weird characters that we come up with.
Yeah. Anyone with any sort of like even mediocre drawing talent, if you want to draw any of our Dial H,
you can do a stick version. I really don't care.
I would love it.
That would make my day.
Yeah.
Make my day.
Love to see Ratman.
Oh, yeah. So fucked up.
Love to see Roy G. Buff.
Love to see Juan Cholo.
And Shimmy Chewbacca.
So send us your version. Send us your drawings. Send us your dial docs. You can do so by using the hashtag dial doc.
Yep.
And send us your ideas for a hero or a villain, or maybe somewhere in between. Or send us a question. You can also just nerd out with us online.
Always.
We've got tons of different places you can do that, such as Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast.
or on Twitter,
At Dr. DC.
Instagram.
Dr. DC Podcast.
You can go to the email.
DrDCPodcast@gmail.com.
Or we have a subreddit now.
Yeah. r/Dr_DC.
We're posting questions on there, and we're also, you guys can just talk to each other. It's a little bit more of long form conversations, and it doesn't have to even be about the show. It can just be about comics or just your lives or anything. Yeah. Also, you can talk to us and read some of our DC specific articles, or review our many wares on our website,
DrDCPodcast.com or .ca.
We always got lots of merch, and
Lots of merch.
if I can come up with some time, I'm going to make some new stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah. Also, don't forget to subscribe, rate, review us, give us 5 stars, write something down, and we'll say it on the show. I'm running real thin on these reviews, so I could use some more.
This is our 75th episode. I have no shame in saying, I'm not going to say out loud what it is, but we have a bit of a target in mind before we launch a special project.
Definitely.
So if any of that mystery entices you, get all of your friends to listen to the show.
Yeah.
Because we have things we want to do, sort of special projects we want to take on, but we're just waiting for the arbitrary threshold that we've decided on.
Exactly. Yes. And you don't know what that is, so just help us as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, there's no countdown or anything, but yeah, I mean, like if you enjoy it, like recommend us at your local comic book store.
Exactly. How many mildly offensive comic book podcasts could there be?
We've gotten a lot better.
We'll see.
I mean, if anything, I would recommend that people start at the most recent episodes and then work backwards so they see how it got to where it is.
Yeah, and just like,
So
wait, when the water gets too deep, just back out.
Yeah, exactly. Just be like, you know what? I like where it is now.
Also, I've got a t-shirt company. I figured we should start promoting our own stuff.
Definitely. Plug
on
your
here.
stuff.
So if you guys go to, I've started a t-shirt company called District North, which is sort of like, if you live in the northern parts of Canada or northern parts of the United States, it's kind of all applicable. If you live near forest and mountains,
it's applicable anywhere. It's just northern themed.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, really,
You can buy it if you
you can live in Tulsa and like still.
If you live south of 60, you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, too bad. But yeah, go. I started a company called District North.
Yeah.
You can find it on TeePublic. All you have to do is go to tpublic.com/user/District North. And also go to my. It's on my Instagram account. If you guys want to check out me on Instagram, just go to @thenortherncanadian and. You can find me out in there, and we can chat a little bit on Instagram, and you can like my photos of me, because that's what I take photos of. Me.
Yeah. I don't have any like other projects to plug. This is the thing I do.
Yeah, it is.
That's all I got.
It's so little. All right, well, I think that's it for this week.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you, guys, and same doc time, same doc channel next week.
Nice.
Ciao.
Cool party.
Cool.
Heroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.
In the rhythm of the night. Oh, okay.